Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you critical and in-depth reviews on just about every indie game we can get our hands on, and today we're going to be taking a look at Goken, which just released for the Nintendo Switch. Now, if you've seen the game or you've looked through its description on the eShop and you saw where it literally stated that it would have gamers trembling with nostalgia, you were probably like me and thought, along with a lot of its other claims, it was just a bit of a tall order, especially for an $8 price tag. But playing through Goken, I have to say, it's definitely not an absolutely perfect game, but it delivers on almost all of its claims. Diving straight into the game's introduction and story, though, we're introduced to a 5,000-year-old legendary hero, the Hero of Five Swords, who, despite being the savior of the world, at one point turned his swords on the gods themselves and was imprisoned. And through the curiosity of a small exploring village girl who literally pulled the sword from the stone, you've now been reawakened. But as you might have expected, the world changed quite a little bit over the last 5,000 years. And not only that, as you were imprisoned in crystal, sealed by your own swords, the other four swords were scattered across the world. And as you play your way through the game, fighting mini area bosses, major bosses, and finding all of your lost swords, as you learn about the changes that have taken place over the last 5,000 years, the people you interact with will be figuring out why exactly it was that you turned on the gods in the first place. But somehow, despite having such an awesome and fantastical, almost JRPG-style backstory, the gameplay is full open-world action combat. Enemies will spawn and respawn in certain areas and progress in difficulty as you expand the map and explore new places, but overall, Goken has done away with random encounters, allowing you to know exactly what you're going to fight and if you choose to fight it at all. However, when you do choose to engage in combat, this is definitely a real-time action RPG, so the turn-based battle mechanic is completely out the window. Using the A button, you can interact with things or run, and B button allows you to dash or dash dodge, and the X and Y buttons allow you to use your right and left-handed weapons. Starting off the game, you'll have access to the first sword that was originally used to imprison you in the crystal atop the mountain, but regardless of how many swords you've managed to collect along your way or which ones suit your fancy in combat, the game's battle mechanic itself consists mostly of a 3-hit combo. And while that initial hour of gameplay as you make your way from village to village trying to find that first boss may have you just tapping that X button over and over with a series of light blows, finding your lost swords and choosing how you want to equip them will actually allow you a pretty decent variety in combat. But being that enemy spawns are pretty liberal and respawns don't take that much time, you'll have plenty of opportunities to figure out what combat styles with which swords suit you best. And as this is an RPG, the more combat you engage in, the more enemies you defeat, the more you level up, which brings us to one of Goken's really unique leveling up systems, which is the tattoo art. With each level up that you manage to gain, all the way up to level 60, you'll gain a certain number of ink drops that you can spend at local tattoo shops at any of the villages you come across. And this unique redesign of a skill tree system into tattoo art allows you to basically tattoo your character to change or power up any of the basic stats, as well as apply certain inks that you can purchase from the shops or find in golden chests throughout the gameplay that will also imbue your character with certain passive abilities. So other than just the basic level up, which of course increases your attack, defense, and stamina, you'll need to wisely think about how you're going to ink your character in order to get the best out of it for your particular gameplay style. And though you can't see the tattoos on your character, as I really wish you could in certain menus, you will be able to see them in the back of your menu screen. But moving on to other systems of power-ups and being OP, as this is an RPG that's set in an era of swordplay, there's definitely blacksmiths and the ability to upgrade these OP mythical swords. And in almost a bit of a Monster Hunter style format, it will definitely cost you money, but also a series of unique item drops. And though the random mobs very rarely drop items, it may be worth it to invest in upgrading one of your swords, especially if you found the one that you think's your favorite, because even that first level upgrade of a sword almost doubles its attack power. But if that does seem a little overly complicated, the passive leveling up just from random mob encounters does come along pretty quickly, and I was able to make it more than halfway through the game without investing in any of the skill trees or any of the item modifications. Moving on to the actual gameplay in Goken though, it's pretty amazing that as a massive open world RPG, it has no load times or load screens anywhere unless you're going in and out of a particular building. There is a wide variety of random mobs, even though they are reskinned for different areas, and the boss fights are really unique. Every single area, even though there are the typical fantasy areas of the fire, the forest, and whatnot, are beautifully designed, and every single setting and every single boss fight has its own dedicated music. But just because Goken was able to smash all these features into a tiny Switch-sized package doesn't exactly mean they were able to pull it all off perfectly. The unique area music is actually really nicely done, but the clips are a bit short, and if you're grinding in any particular area, it's going to be really apparent where the track starts and stops over again. And while some people might see the excessive amount of grinding or required to actually level up your swords as a negative. I mean, it is an RPG, the grind is real. But the one thing that stuck out the most as a negative, and it's something that's easy to get past but is definitely very obvious, is that the no transition screens, no load times kind of resolved itself into certain places in the game being a bit laggy. Particularly when running through the Pirate's Cave area, I guess just because there was so much going on, every few steps or so the game seemed to cut to jump up to where it was supposed to be. But as this never took place in a boss fight and really only occurred when you were covering large amounts of area in one go, it didn't affect combat at all and therefore really didn't affect the gameplay too terribly much for me, but did stick out as a little bit jarring. All in all though, I'd have to say that Goken is a really amazing game, especially considering the price point. It's full of good music, beautiful graphics, perfect character development, a good bit of nostalgia, and a lot of humor. So if you are an RPG fan, a JRPG fan, or a fan of open world adventure games, you are definitely going to want to check out Goken. And that does about wrap up the review of Goken now on the Nintendo Switch, so if you enjoyed the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like or a comment to show your support. And don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indies coming out literally every single day, so there's always going to be something new to find right here. But since I can only cover a couple of games a week, if you want an update on which reviews might be coming out next, you can follow us on Twitter. And if you want to actually support the channel and help me make these reviews, Patreon is a great way to get involved. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.